Hey everybody, it's Emily and welcome to another edition of the Daily Evolution. It is Turf Tuesday and this week we are going to be talking about your space in your vehicle. So for those of you who are, this might be a little bit painful for some of you, there was a time in my life when it was when my oldest son, who's going to be 21 soon, it was when he was super young, and for those of you who have small children or who've been through this, you can completely identify. There would be all kinds of things in the back seat of my car, like Cheerios and Fruit Loops and like French fries and toys that were broken, some of them. Like, oh my gosh, the things that were in my car were really crazy. So I get that when you have littles, it's really challenging to keep up on the car, especially the back seat where they're occupying it. You have to, sometimes bribe them with all kinds of little things in order to keep them at bay until you get to your next location. So I get it. And I will tell you that the more that I have taken and been purposeful about the space in my car, I mean, think about it, you guys. We spend a lot of time in our vehicle each week traveling, especially if you're from Montana, we travel a lot. We go distances in our vehicle to get from one place to the other. Things are fairly far apart. And so we're doing that, on a really consistent basis, and so we're just not maybe clearing out that space and keeping it as neat and tidy as we possibly can. And what's interesting about how neat and tidy this space is, think about it, you guys, when you come home to a clean home, how do you feel? Like the energy inside of you and like the way that your mind is and the way that you operate and you interact in that space is very different than if you come home to a messy, dirty house. At least it is for me. So when I get into a clean car, like, oh my God, it just feels so good. So I really want you to think about the area where, if it's the back seat that really needs some attention, maybe it's the whole thing. Yes, this is a daunting task. If your car is dirty, just do one little thing at a time, right? And like begin to take small steps, right? It doesn't have to be like, don't go spend 2 hours and then not do it again, right? For another 2 months. Like take little baby steps, things that you know that you can begin to implement if you want to shift and change that. So for example, if you have to, like, if you have a lot of garbage in your car, like when you get out of the car, just take a couple of pieces with you, right? And from doing that each time, you'll slowly get rid of all the garbage. So is it great for you to be able to spend an hour or however long it might take cleaning it out this week? Yes. And if that's not possible, like, I'm always about working with you, right? Like working with the time that you have. Like these little changes do not have to be, or these changes do not have to be this big thing. It can be really something very simple and very easy to begin to implement, and it can make a dramatic shift in your life. Now, if you're somebody that already keeps a clean car, like it's a part of your value system, I want you to begin to think about, can you be in a space where it's not clean, right? Because then we go to the other side. If you've not seen my video on obsessive behavior, if your car has to be clean or you have there's an attachment to it being that way, not bad, just take a look at it, right? Because anytime that we have to have things a certain kind of way, there is something to take a look at in regard to that. It is obsessive behavior. It is like you should be able to maintain your emotional status no matter what's going on around you, right? Or that's the goal for me, in staying off of the emotional roller coaster, is to really be in charge and not to give my personal power up to these external circumstances or things. So, little food for thought. So now we're going to shift into the part of the 10 minutes where we do a little bit of deep breathing. So take 2 deep breaths in and then begin that count. If you're not familiar with the breathing exercise, there is a how-to video in the email and or in whatever platform you're finding me in, there's a how-to video for it. So go ahead and find that. And then you could come back to this part, but go ahead and take 2 deep breaths in. Gosh, I can just feel my shoulders relax when I do that. Now go ahead and begin the 4-count breathing exercises. It just feels so good to me to clear out the thoughts in my mind, and I just feel super peaceful in that space. So now what I really want you to do is to think about your vehicle. And let's say, for example, you don't have a vehicle. Maybe it's a backpack or a bag or something that you do every single day when you're commuting, right, from one place to the next. Same thing. Clean out that space. Think about that space. So I want you to think about like what it is. If you're planning on cleaning out the car, right, this week to clean up your turf, right? I want you to not let this conversation, like, oh yeah, I really need to do that, be the last like time that you think about it until like the end of next week or next week when you're like, oh shit, I completely forgot about that. Book it, put it into your calendar right now, right? I want you to stop the video or let it keep playing and just grab your phone. If you're on your phone, like get into the calendar app, schedule it, get your planner out, schedule that 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, whatever it is going to take for you, and put it in your calendar somewhere so that you know that you're going to invest in that intentionally. I promise you the way that it makes you feel is so good. And it also is like a way, it's like another version of self-care. When we take care of our spaces and our places, right, our turf, when we take care of our turf, it just like energetically it creates this lovely space for you to open up into. Now, if you are not gonna have time to create the whole car, cleaning the entire car, I want you just to think about one action that you're going to take that you can implement, right? So maybe it's just taking out all the garbage. That's it. That's just getting rid of the garbage this week, right? Something little things to work towards the goal. You do not have to have this big time-consuming thing, and I think that's the thing that for me like was like a common misconception early on was that I didn't have time to do a lot of the things. Like I was filling my plate so full that I felt like I didn't have time to invest in a lot of these things, and that's just not true, right? The things that I was putting on my plate were really not valuable or as important as I thought they were, and there were just better ways for me to invest in like how I felt. And I really was wearing like that busyness list, like all the things, as a badge of honor. And so I just decided I'm gonna stop doing that, and I have to really work at it. So I hope that this has supported you. We're a little bit short of our 10 minutes, and take that extra minute to go out there and invest in your space or place. If you want to receive the Daily Evolution directly in your inbox, please subscribe below. If you're on Instagram, it's in the bio. And love supporting you guys in taking 10 minutes a day to transform your life. Have an amazing day, and I will see you tomorrow.